this is the first screening in Bombay. We have been working for. That's the other video. So it began in 2021 after the farm laws in 2020 that were passed, and now the stir is back again. I realized that going to happen in India, what they're trying to do in India, has happened in America for the last 40 years. So we said, why don't we talk to the American farmers? It took a long time to put the whole thing together. It's not an easy topic, but we knew that none of the issues was sorted out. I think in many ways farmers are right to call it a jumla. We had heard all of this, 15 lakhs and twice the income and MSP, and here 3 years later, or two years later, we're back to the same situation. So I think that's what I think. Very often, when a policy like this comes in, people don't have the luxury of looking at the future. Is this going to work? Is this not going to work? What's going to happen? This kind of, I think, gave a unique perspective that it has been tried, done. There is a method to that madness, and that method is very, very clear. So it's for us to understand. Obviously, in India, it's not going to happen the same way as it happened in America because the things are different. Things are at different places. Yes.
So I was in the Midwest and in Wisconsin, and I really know what dairy farming was. I was there for a year as a medical intern. Wow. I'm a medical doctor.
Wow.
So I could relate because the Philippines is an agricultural Southeast Asian country. And right now, I mean, in the past, we would export rice. Now, we import rice, mostly from Vietnam. It was designed like 3 weeks ago with our president. So I really can empathize with what is going on right now.
Of course, a very excellently made film in every whatever way. But are you planning to make a version with Hindi subtitles?
I'm very, very glad that you asked. Yes, absolutely. Not Hindi subtitles.
Even dubbing?
Yes. That work is actually going on right now. In fact, the person who's doing the translation.
Too often that evidence-based decision making is some academic argument without actually going into the field. And when we went into the field, I guess we realized that several of the classifications that had been done based on social politics far too often just disappear when actual met with real economic facts. And those real economic facts joined the farmers in India and the farmers in US far more. And that's where I feel there is a case for solidarity, and the whole movie is in a way, for me, a great example of people across the world sort of coming together to give hope to each other.
We want this film to be seen by people in cities. Large number of people in cities have actually no connection with how farming is done, what the conditions of farmers here, whether in this country or in the US. And exactly what the farmers are going through. I mean, as a friend of mine, I think she's still here, she sent the announcement out to her friends, and the responses that she got back, the choicest responses, you all know. I mean, that's if you go to Twitter, you go to any of the TV programs, you can hear those, that how MSP is such a disaster, how these are, I don't have to say, all kinds of stuff that take it to farmers in India. That, I mean, many of them, while we were making the movie, the snippets have gone to the border. I mean, I know that during the 2021 period, many parts of the movie at that time in various forms have been shown in the border, and the farmers have liked it. And so we want it to go to them, for them to use it as a tool for talking about their views. So from that point of view, yes, absolutely, Hindi is a must.
One is an immediate thing that the last few lines said that there should be a globalization of this protest and globalization of this knowledge. And you must be knowing that 171 accounts on X Twitter have been completely very malifiedly just stopped. And that's one way in which news was coming out. That was So why can't some of this campaign begin in the United States? The information coming out about parity, MSP, because the viciousness on Twitter among the quote-unquote proponents of the monopoly market, I don't call it free market, has been. So these are rich farmers, MSPs, etc., etc. So I think that needs to be consistently barraged and countered. Number one. Number two is the same way as these elevators, that the very bleak part of the elevators and what elevators meant in cooperative elevators going in, corporate elevators coming in, has been that already Adani is building food corporation godowns, all over. And plus in Manipur, it's palm oil. It's monopoly palm oil production that actually is at the root of this very brute ethnic fomented conflict. So you're going to see the very different and vicious form in India. It's not going to be just different, but it can potentially also very vicious.
Okay, so I think great point. I think that actually can give Indian diaspora or South Asian diaspora.
Because it boosts the struggle now when
Correct.
it's needed,
And-
particularly before the election.
And I want to take it to the Americans as well,
Yeah.
because I would like for American academics, American activists to talk about it as well, because face it, I mean, this is not just India that it's happening.
That's right.
It's right now, and that's probably the new thing compared to 2021. This is now happening in Europe. This is happening even in US. Just the other day it was in Greece. And by the way, the Greece farmers, when they came in, they were not shot at, they were not tear gassed and all that.
Sorry, and one last thing is I think
Yes,
the opposition needs to be talked to as well, because they're also falling for the same trap. And they've always fallen for the same trap.
Please, I mean, look, I can only make the movie. I think.
When you're showing it, please show it when you say policy.
Would love to. Would
It's
love
also
to.
job.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to.
We rely a lot on the community because much of the organizing we have done apart from this movie has been with the aid of community. And while I agree with Bedu, we haven't really thought of a very structured plan. I think at that stage a lot more people, a lot more even the stakeholders and other activists will come in to make this happen. It has to start from the whole community itself.
Well, Rashik, to be absolutely honest, we don't have. It's the level of disinformation and misinformation that exists on this question throughout is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable that a very simple concept is made a hash out of. And it's one thing to say what must be. Then the next question is how it should be. And in both of these questions, things have to be done. Like there's a very simple thing that people make a mistake. Oh, MSP means government has to spend 15 lakh crores to buy all the grain. It's actually, I don't know where that comes from. Like every day, Federal Reserve interferes in the economy to set an interest rate. It buys and sells. It does not buy the GDP amount of wealth. That's not how it works. You can intervene even in a market system to stabilize prices so that farmers win, consumers win. And I think the most important point that we want to start the discussion is that all of this discussion is coming to divert attention from who the real beneficiaries of this so-called free market is. That, as you saw, the only beneficiaries were the corporates. Farmers lost, consumers lost. And it's the same thing that's coming here. And to divert from that, all this thing about free market, as I think Teesta said very, very well, and that's also the point kind of made, that there is no free market. That this market reform, this is one of the biggest myths, that market reforms create free markets. It creates monopolies. And also the way the farming happens, there is a lot more possibility of people coming together in India than
Why I said it also was, in terms of the current doubt in our minds in terms of is the information what we're getting in this country correct or not. If it's such negative information and if it's still out there, I mean, while US does allow a lot of freedom of speech or information across, it's still pretty drastic information for US itself, right? So they've done this and the impact has been that.
Very much so. I think this movie also has a place within the US US quality as well. This part is not known by a lot of US, at least urban people, for sure. And I think what has brought this together is that in the US at least there is a growing recognition of what the monopolies are doing. I mean, there is a even from business schools, books are being written about how monopolies are
I
taking
think all the
over.
small towns are getting into saying we do this local purchase,
No,
local produce kind of.
and there is a thing against that. Okay, the Bill Gates of the world are screwing us over.
Yes.
I think that is less developed in India. It seems to me. I could be wrong. But anyway. But coming back to India, I think this will be
Just one point here, in the 70s, there was one term quite popular, terms of trade. That means terms of trade between industry and agriculture. The MS, actually over the decades, the industrial products, their prices have gone up much sharply as compared to the agricultural product.
Yes.
The MSP is a sort of an antidote to that probably.
There was a very small side story around fresh food versus processed food inside of the movie, and it seems that US is already kind of the whole country is already damaged, and India is about to be going through that. So how can that education, especially for the city folks, be also brought out? So are there any expanded versions also planned around? Because the kind of I was looking at the damages, the percolation of the damage to the entire economy, not just financially but also on the health of the people.
Look, there are a level of topics that exist and things that we could not talk about, including the politics of US. I mean, many of these farmers were Republicans, and yet, and yet you see what they're saying. So there are a lot of different things. We could only finish one in a long time. I'm sure there are other stories and where we are, where the questions are coming in, I understand that there is a viewpoint given, there are facts given, there are evidence given, there is a story given. Now, what do we do with it? How do we take it to people that matter? How can we use it as a tool for lack of a better word, organizing, for educational purposes? Is something that we have to think about, and and I don't have a very good answer to that. And that's what I'm saying. I'm looking for everybody's input on that.
Jut. That fell to farmers. What about the farmers in Maharashtra or South India or Bhubaneswar, Odisha? Where are they?
So, well, Bombay had a fantastic march. We know that.
Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu did. So its MSP's benefit has the only people that to take it is in Punjab, because rice and wheat are the only two places where MSP is given. So all of these reasons kind of made the movement that much more visible in North. So that doesn't mean it doesn't exist anywhere. In fact, these would be the tools to take it to everybody else. That look, let's all come together, because the question of MSP, since like a farmer in Bengal doesn't even know what MSP is, because he has never got the benefits of MSP. A farmer in Bihar has never got one, or they actually did, but no longer gets the benefit of MSP. So they don't even know. So these are all, I think, there's a lot of work and I think that work is going on. We are only coming in with a small tool here, which is the battery.
Nothing. We were just talking about how the present, the city folks don't understand it, farmers. The best example is how budget airlines working in this country. Generally, the city folks doesn't understand farmers and their plight, and this is a story that happened in US. It may not be the way it's going to work in India. There could be arguments against that. The postscript to this film is just to look at how budget airlines are working in India, for example. How they began as budget airline, and then they reduced the carriage weight, and then they introduced online check-in. If you don't do online check-in, you have to pay. You have to pay for boarding pass. You have to pay for carry-ons. And if you add up all that, it's not a budget airline anymore. And they designed the booking software in a way that there are price surges and government doesn't do anything.
Same with
That's the
our-
best example of it.
Itself, in India. Social media, we don't have the money to get the eyeballs.
That's all right.
We don't have the advertising budget.
Yep.
So it's, I mean, I don't know, probably they won't take it, but
Hey, but don't you remember there was a film from BBC which was banned in India?
One or both.
And not
But
many people
my
know about it as a result.
No, but the people didn't get
I,
to
I think if something is banned, that's not so much of a problem if it's as compared to social media shadow banning it. If it's banned, it will still reach the people. Social media issue is much more serious.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the water is not made clear. I feel like just guessing what the conversation is there.
I think we're just adding that getting it banned wouldn't be that bad an idea as long as it's available through a VPN. Social media getting banned it's a much more bigger problem because it actually kills the reach.
And the way they talk about MSP, there's another thing that I find it take a few minutes to talk about. They say, oh, why 50% above the cost price? So that's a Swaminathan formula. Well, agriculture is not like making a soap. It's not making Lux soaps.
The risks.
You do agriculture, you sow your crop once a year, maybe twice a year. You don't make it every day. You don't know the market. You don't know what will come in the course of production.
And also the unpredictability that is there, and you can't grow a plant in your balcony properly. So
That's
this
right.
is like you're growing food.
So in that kind of a situation, how the Americans treated it was very interesting, and I think that treatment has not quite come here. Is that Americans said that okay, we want to keep the average farm income and average urban income the same. Okay. So what is needed what price is needed in order for those to, on an average, equal? I mean, obviously not everybody would be equal. And that's what that thinking has not really come into India. So the whole discussion comes, why 50%, why not 10%, why this, why that? Well, you want everybody to benefit, right? You want everybody's living standards to go up, right? Otherwise, what are we doing in a democracy? What kind of India is it that we're saying that, a large number of people have to suffer in order that a handful can win? Obviously, that's not the kind of India we want. Some people may want that. We don't.
He has none of the versions that have come out so far, and I'm pretty sure even this version is something that he is happy with, even though he will go out because we literally keep forcing him at this point. We need to show it to the people. It's way more important than getting it exactly right. But I really can't appreciate it enough how much he has to do.
And also these two at the beginning, I mean, without Raj and Srishti, we would not have come to you guys with any of this. So the farmers and just to get their voices out there makes us feel very grateful. But as the last lady rightly said, that it needs to reach the people.